Yeah, my bad. I need a little quick lunch break. All right, look. Let's jump back into it though. All right, diagram on the screen. That's the bullet point. All right, you guys clearly see where I'm trying to get at with this. Now, when you do recording, it's like a carbon copy. When you fill out one of those papers, there's a carbon copy behind that. Now, the carbon copy is for you to keep. But if you go keep copying that, and you know what I mean, and then you take the copy, out the machine, and then keep copying that. That's like the degradation of the visual of the carbon copy, right? And that's what happens when you have analog to digital conversion, or if you try to keep overdubbing something to tape, like and redubbing it over time, the bit depth or the quality, which you can uh, correlate the word quality to bit depth. All right, those things start to degrade over time. Now, we were talking about multiple ins and outs, and we're talking about how it's a digital audio workstation, which is basically a virtual console. So you virtually have that gigantic console in the size of your computer screen. All right. So now it takes up no space virtually at all, right? But you have this quote unquote big console because you can have 24 channels or whatever. How many? Sometimes there's too many things going on in DAWs anymore. You know what I mean? That limitation on like limited real estate, only allowing you to have certain amount of channels, that actually bred more creativity because like now I think a lot of music is being overproduced. When I mean overproduced, there's like 100 tracks. You know what I mean, in a mix or something crazy. Like I'm not saying that people actually do that. Maybe that's like an exasperated, over exaggerated example. But what I'm saying is, back in the day, music was done simply. I mean, people set it up, they jammed out, they got it done. It sounded good. It was done from the soul. It usually was pretty good, and however you recorded it, that's the hard carbon copy or the hard copy, right? Now, the recording is like the carbon part of it because the hard copy is you putting your essence into making the music. You standing there with the guitar, you on the drums, you on the drum machine, you on the keyboard or the synthesizer or the piano or yata mashata, right? That is the hard copy. That is the hard essence being put out into the universe, right? Into the universe in general. Just that's the vibration that's being put out. All right. But the hard, that's the hard copy, but the carbon copy is the recording medium that you're going to, right? So we're going to the computer, as you see on the diagram. Now, we're using the audio interface because we know it has to get to the computer somehow. So we either need USB, 3 now, and FireWire or Thunderbolt, right? Okay, so then we look at this other diagram right here where we have these digital hardware console recorders. Well, that's just basically the hardware version of a DAW with limited real estate. Like you can't just, have a million tracks going on. And then when you have these, they could be audio interface too. But they are hardware disc recorders. And they are going to this microchip. So it's the same medium as the computer. Okay, so there's virtually no difference. It's just that you're not going to have latency problems with these hardware recording devices, these digital hardware recording devices. The only thing is the only problem you'll have is there's limited outputs. There's usually a good number of inputs, but still not enough for what you want to get, like on like this Motu right here, and or an analog console, which we know has 24, 48 channels, maybe sometimes up to 64. That's that 100K console. You can go look that stuff up, right? Now, there are devices like this. This is like another hardware digital recorder playback device, right here, the cymatic audio thing. All right, there's 24 in, 24 out. That's basically the console. So if you had a session going to this, you could just track it out with the D sub connection. It's just like this Motu down here where you had the session going into and then out. You could track it out to whatever. But see, the thing is with this is like, okay, say if you're going in. Well, it's up to you to say, okay, we want to go in clean, nothing affecting the incoming signal. Or you say, hey, fuck that. I am going to go through some color. I am going to go through some preamp. I am going to go through some EQ or some tube or some opto or some transformer or some yata, right? Because you might want that desired effect and you don't want to go without that. And that is desirable to taste. I understand that. Well, see, when applied to the hard copy, then the carbon copy will always yield that. There's no way to undo it. That's why I was trying to get at it on the last episode. Now, if you're going into something and you put your essence into it and you did it that way, you could process it with the digital stuff. But the digital stuff is all you have to always remember is ones and zeros. It is not a physical medium. It is not these. I'm not saying this is be all end all. I'm not saying that. But it is not this stuff. Alright? It is not that. And because it is not that, you get an emulation. But the word emulation is the imitator emulate. And in my case, when using the MPC, this is my emulated big production console because I can have vocals on here if I really wanted it. I could use this as a DAW. And like I said, this is equivalent to the all the stuff I'm showing you right here on screen. The MPC, yes, is a sampler, rompler, playback, synthesizer. It is a plethora of things in one box. A mighty box, right? But you can use it in many different ways. This is the thing that I'm trying to explain to everybody. You can use tools and then you can break rules. There are rules to recording music, but then the rules are often broken. And you know not that they're even being broken, but there's a great sound coming from it. How am I breaking rules or quote unquote doing this and that? Different instances of the TPS, instead of me having 8 of them, I can just sample whatever drums I'm using, just that one drum hit, and then drag it into my MPC. There you go. There's the color, the analog color on the instruments. Run the synth through that before it goes in to get sampled. High bit rate, 24-bit, you can't lose. You see what I mean? You can't lose. But then there's smaller format stuff like summing mixers. Summing mixers are like having analog consoles and that tape deck noise, stuff like that. We'll talk about it in a sec.